Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Chillin Like a Villain, the podcast where I can do whatever I want, whenever I want. And I'm currently high on caffeine because I have never once woken up at 9 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday. Because who the fuck does that? To be honest, I would sleep in until 1, but podcast priorities. Not trying to have your anti-sleep demons come and attack you in your sleep when you're trying to focus on your dreams. Other than that, how's everybody in the chat going? We love ourselves. We love ourselves a couple of people in chat, so that's cool. But without going into rambling and shit, let's get right into it and introduce our guest. He is the creator of Modern Objects. He basically likes to do a bunch of meme videos and basically just do a bunch of videos of a spade singing. And he also animated for BFB and TPOT. So here he is. It is RickToons.
Hello, I'm RickToons. Hello, how are you? Okay, can I start off by saying thank you for letting me be on the show, and for seconds, man, this is pretty how do I put it? It's pretty sus. Everyone.
God fucking damn it! God fucking damn it! Why
okay, anyway.
I should have expected this to start with this.
Okay, whatever. Well, anyway, what do you want? Do you want questions? I'm sorry. Do you want? Yeah, give me the questions. I want the questions. Now, I want to answer your questions so then I can get the hell out of here, because I'm already fatigued by this. I'm already fatigued by you. I hate you. I want to get out of here. I want to go home. I want to eat cornflakes. Oh, frick. I just dropped my pen.
Don't say cornflakes. Never want cereal.
Yeah, now you want cornflakes because it's in the morning for you.
Right.
You haven't had breakfast, man.
Yeah, can we just talk about this real quickly, just for the audience to know? The reason why we're starting is because you and I have way different time zones. I believe you're 11 hours ahead of me.
Yeah, I live in the future, B.
Yeah.
I live in a. Well, I mean, we could have done it in the morning. By your time, it would be pretty late at night. But I understand, you would prefer to do it now, so that's what I'm doing. We're gonna do it now, and we're gonna do it. We're gonna do it right. We're gonna do it fun, and I hope
we're gonna have
people in the 7 people who are watching.
Yeah.
Just have a good time, and I bet one of those is me. So the 5 people watching right now.
I'm gonna be honest. I'm one of them as well, because I'm having to use my other window just
Don't
to
worry.
make sure moderation and all that shit. But no, but in all seriousness, it was one of those things where we just decided we were trying to make the time zone and stuff like that work. Originally we were gonna go live last night for anybody who saw. It was gonna be 2 episodes in one day, but no, but by the time we were going to do an episode, it was midnight for me. People were in my house asleep and shit, and I was like, "Fuck, it might not be the best of ideas." So I was saying to you, just can we just go back to the original time? Obviously, it'll be late for you, but not too late. Whereas if we did it on the time that we did, it would be leading up to 1 or 2 o'clock in the goddamn morning.
Yeah, that's gonna suck.
Time zones suck.
I love time zones. Anyway, let's get onto it.
Right, we're getting right into the motherfucking questions. So let's get right into it. So
Yes.
The first question is about obviously your show that you created, which is Modern Objects.
Yes.
The first question would be what was the idea going behind it? What made you came up with Modern Objects?
Okay, I could definitely start this. So I created Modern Objects, just seeing a lot of object shows and being like, bro, what if object was not about competition, right? And when I said that, I was like, whoa, that's a great idea. that's never been done before. And then I watched a show called Object Manor, and then it was, which is a show that isn't about a competition. It's like a murder mystery or whatever it was. And I was like, whoa, this has never been done before. I'm gonna do it myself, even though it's already been done before. So Modern Objects technically really isn't the first like non-competition show, but I definitely think it was the first one to really the whole idea of the show was to break out the idea of like having an ensemble of objects and kind of to really focus on a select few characters, kind of I guess have kind of create this kind of different vibe altogether about the show, I guess. But like, I mean, if you've seen the pilot and if you've seen a lot of it, there are definitely a lot of issues with it, I guess. But
Yeah.
you know, it definitely, I think, was a pretty good like concept piece, I guess, of like the potential of like the community, what the community can do outside of like a just the idea of like a competition and all these different things. I definitely wouldn't say that like definitely the fundamentals of the object show community are definitely the fact that they are object shows. They are shows about objects and they do stuff, you know, and it mainly involves being in a competition, competing for a prize. So you know what, I'm cool with that.
I mean, to be fair, you were trying to go for an original idea, obviously. Like,
not really.
Fair, but like some
nothing is
people
original
done it and stuff like that. However, obviously, you went and took the concept, took it in your direction and your creativity, basically decided to slam your brain into the table, saying, "I'll have that."
I guess.
And yeah, like obviously, we've got modern objects, which we'll say, even though it's only had like obviously one episode, like it's still like very popular within the community. Like people still talk about it to this fucking day.
That means a lot to me, because like when I made Modern Objects, I really wanted it to make like one of the primary motivators of making the original pilot was to not really to kind of not, it was half because I really wanted to make it to prove to myself that I could create a big cartoon, because like I haven't made a 18 like making an 18-minute cartoon right all on your own by yourself is really hard. And I managed to do it, and I had to cut a lot of corners, but I did manage to do it. And while I think that a lot of production choices and a lot of decisions that I made out of like either laziness or like indecisiveness, and also just a lack of feedback from people really like significantly I think it really handicapped the real potential of what Modern Objects could have been, especially in that pilot to me personally, because you know, Spade's a dick. Spade is way too mean and awful. He's an awful person. And I think that could have been reworked to make Spade more sympathetic, for instance. And also to make the ending in particular to be changed. But I don't know. I guess I could go into the production.
Here's the thing. It wasn't. The fact is, it's like obviously you don't want to have a character that's like too nice and stuff like, because like nice characters don't. Well, I'm saying this and I'm like, and then you see like BFDI where it's like the main characters always get out and all that stuff. But like, for a show where you're going for like obviously if your character's just like too nice, then it's not really going to be like catching that kind of motive. So. Obviously, having a character who's like a bit of a dick sometimes, but obviously does want to try and change for the better and like be a better person for himself. Like, yeah, like this is like it's I think not what worst have done, but I can see where you're coming from with like trying to make him a bit nicer, because obviously there was some moments in the episodes just like, why is he like doing these kind of things?
Yeah, I think that. This kind of blow up in the first episode, I think really should have been like, there should have been some real actual build up, because my original idea was to kind of, if you would have pictured the Modern Objects as like a whole series, right? Spade would be this awful character who we see how he kind of became this terrible person, and like throughout the season, you would see him progressively develop into a more tolerable person. Although I think that was like my original idea for the character, but I think that I went too far in making Spade this very exaggerated, very mean, very bitter, very and just very, I don't know what the best word for it is, but definitely even in a sense like he's being very mean about his sister Bucket in particular, especially about the fact that she doesn't have arms, which is basically making fun of I guess it implies it's making fun of a disability, which is wrong. And I personally wish, and this is going to play into when I talk about episode 2, I wish I never ever in my life brought up the idea of like comparing like the fact that someone like the idea of like of a handicap, like Bucket is armless, right? And she's like, what in the world of modern objects, there are a lot of characters. Many of the characters have like all limbs, and then there's only a few that really have like no arms.
No arms.
And to me, my idea was I guess it was a way to, and this plays into episode 2 as well. It was an idea of trying to bring in social commentary into the series, and that plays into episode 2, and particularly with how it kind of, and really that's the Achilles heel of what killed episode 2, because I wanted to create a serious story, but also try to be funny at the same time, and it killed the script. It killed the story. It was all over the place. You have like 3 or 4 different arcs going on at once, and I tried to do it all in like 20 minutes when it really should have been that kind of story that I was going for. That should have been a movie instead of being like a really, really long episode, opposed to being just like this 20-minute thing where it's trying to do all these things at once, and it's trying to be funny, but it's trying to bring in real social commentary. It's trying to make Spade seem like a good guy again, or he's trying to improve himself, but Bucket isn't seeing that, and it
sounds like obviously it was like a bit of over ambition going into
definitely the idea of wanting to be, because it came out of the desire of wanting to be like one of, really, I wanted modern objects to be like, you have BFDI, you have inanimate insanity, and then you have modern objects, right? Kind of to be the real, the true third wheel of the object show community. That was my ambition, but in reality, I've come to realize that is a very stupid. Well, I wouldn't say it's stupid, but it was definitely a very naive, overambitious, and
to be fair, I wouldn't say you would be the only person to think about this, because I feel like a lot of creators would think about like they want to get to the lines of like being like inanimate insanity or BFDI. As like obviously I would say like a couple of examples like object invasion, and then there's object lockout and stuff like that, and like you've got Wuggle and Fusion trying their best to like do their try to be up to the point of that, but even if they can't, they still have got up a good audience that basically at least will support them no matter what.
Yeah.
So
yeah, exactly. Also factoring in that I was trying to do this massive animation and I was the only one doing it basically. I think I had like a couple animators who were willing to help, and I did have a bunch of voice actors, and I had a small writing team who would give me feedback when I was working on the episode 2 script. But other than that, yeah, it was not good. Episode 2 really suffered from, and it was to a point because I had already like animated a bunch of stuff, so it was kind of like, and I kind of had this like irrational fear that if I don't finish this episode by this end of the summer, then I am I'm gonna do something really bad or something really bad. I'm never gonna complete it ever. Right? It's this very toxic mindset where you become so overambitious and you try so hard, right? You try way too hard to be to be like this person that you are not, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Point is, don't be overambitious. Learn lane. You know,
I will say this is like
be
I
ambitious,
would
but
like
not
I would
over
like
ambitious.
is like be ambitious. Don't be like obviously that, but like don't have this as like being like defeating over you and stuff like that. Like obviously for somebody who's trying to make a show, it's just like if you're wanting to try a couple of things, that's okay. Try them out, but like just know that you do have a limit of what you can and cannot do. Like obviously I can't really say anything because I can't really go into too much detail, but I've tried to do a lot of things with my own show. And I haven't thought about like going into the lines of I want my show to be up there with I or BFB and stuff like that. But I think what my main goal was like having something out there to be noticed in the OSC and trying something that although somebody else has already tried, having my own spin of it.
Yeah, pretty much.
And trying to tell my own story. And I think no matter what happens with my episode, I don't know if I'll be entirely proud of it because I'm already like sick of my old script right now. I just want to move on to the next one. Like I just want to tell a story that I feel like not only that people will enjoy, but I will be happy with, if that makes sense.
Yeah, fair enough. I guess at the end of the day, you really just need to evaluate as a creative. You really need to evaluate because with object shows in particular, right? They're just they're object shows. There isn't really particular. There's no real need to try and be something. It's be something that it isn't. I guess you can take the idea of object shows and you can really do something great with it. Like I think one of my favorite examples of like a show that really like takes that does like I feel like has the best execution of recent is One by Cheesy. Do you know what One is?
You're asking me what One is, and I'm like I'm legit just like fucking supporting it because it's giving me so much fucking mystery, like Gravity Falls kind of feel, where it's like there's like a mystery going on, try and solve it and all that shit. It's like so interactive, and I love it so much.
Yeah, One I think is the perfect kind of example of really the strengths of just being able to have a very good eye for writing. I think the show is super good at kind of taking these characters and actually fleshing them out and making it. And while it's a very small cast, there's a lot going on. You have this kind of, you have all these creative and really detailed. Well, I guess not detailed, but like you have these characters that feel like real individuals. And it doesn't feel like it's trying to be something that it isn't, I guess. It's trying to be something because One from the ground up is just a very well-written, character-driven narrative mystery that is just kind of disguised as an object show, which I find to be very awesome. I like it a lot.
I mean, if we're talking about One for a second, I think one of my favorite parts about One is like it's linking back to like older episodes. Like obviously you saw like the moldy fight, like back in like I think it's episode 4, where it's like explaining why she got in the mold and the rip and all that shit, and like obviously the argument, and then the minute it just cuts you, if you don't realize, you're just thinking where's the rest of the argument and. Like, if you just don't remember, obviously, episode 1 was, like, where the fucking rest of the argument went, where she immediately got teleported to where they are.
Yeah.
And I love that continuity, don't know if that's the word, but, like, continuity, whatever the fuck
Continuity.
Yeah. Like, I just
I agree.
love that. Honestly, Cheesy, if you're watching, I'd like you just to come on to this podcast.
No, he's not watching.
No, I know.
If he was watching,
I know. I just like to say some of these things, just like in case it's some possibility. Just like, definitely, we'd love to have him on just to talk about One. But yeah, back to yourself. However, we just talked about like this one question for about like 20 minutes that we've.
That's fine.
So
just let's go.
All right. The next. Right. So obviously, our next question again is for modern objects. So like. obviously coming up with the plot, you've got like Bucket and Spade, and you've also got like Map, who's basically Spade's friend, and then you've also got like Rubber and all that shit.
Yep.
What was the plot going behind episode 1, like Digging Up Trouble?
So what
Like,
was going on behind the scenes?
What was going on behind the scenes of episode 1?
Okay, episode 1, I wrote a script. All right, I wrote a script, and I actually have the script, the original version of the script, and it's about 18 pages. I think episode 2's script, in comparison, was, let's see. Oh wait, this is not. Let me just quickly grab episode 2. So yeah, Mon Objects, I wrote a script. It was a very straightforward, basic script, right? Mm-hmm. And really, I think, so animation, okay. So it was about a 17-page script. And essentially what it turned into was Mon Object I took the script, right? And I essentially, as I was developing the animation, when I would write a new scene, I would do like these rough, like scratch tracks, basically, where I would just record like a very rough idea of the audio that I wanted, right? And I would voice Bucket, and I would voice Map, and I would voice Spade. I think the only one I didn't voice was Professor Rubber, because her lines were recorded by, I believe, Lee. I believe that's their name, and they had their lines pre-recorded, and I just kind of built the story around their lines. But okay, to basically sum it up, every time I started a new scene, it was my opportunity to keep continuity, but I would completely rewrite all the dialogue. Almost all the dialogue would be completely rewritten, and I would just kind of freestyle off the top of my head what I kind of felt would be like the best way to portray this. Because when I'm writing, I have this, I feel like when I write something, I don't like to read it. I like to see it, and I like to hear it. So, because if you see something and you hear something, you get the best idea of what you want, and you get the best idea of how you want that scene to go and how you want that scene to feel as well. And this was something that, while worked for episode 1, definitely didn't work for episode 2. And I think that I don't know, it's definitely, reading back in this, you just kind of have these kind of like bare bones like ideas in the script that I would expand on later, like the whole kind of nightmare scene, right? I basically planned out when I just started animating it, that whole nightmare scene. I think the problem with but the biggest flaw was that because I was kind of basically rewriting everything scene by scene and animating it scene by scene, it ended up really screwing up some elements. And that's because I was trying to add in these serious elements to the story that really didn't fit. And as a result, I feel like it really made the episode suffer. I don't know what else to say. I think, again, Spade just being overly kind of this terrible person, right? While that was always the plan from the beginning, I think that the ending should have been given a lot more thought in just being a different ending. How I would end episode 1 now is that I wouldn't have Spade just be forgiven, and I wouldn't have Bucket apologize. I wouldn't have Bucket apologize, first of all, and I would have Spade apologize. And then what would happen next is that I would have Spade be blown up, burnt to bits, then thrown into jail, then recreated and thrown into jail, where he rots in his cell for the rest of his life. Because the stuff that he did in the episode up to this point makes you hate the character so much that you kind of just want to see them get what's coming to them, I guess, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, like, Jesus fucking Christ.
I really hate Spade. I because Spade reminds me a lot of myself. Haha. Wink, wink. Self-insert.
Just fucking self-insert
Anyway.
to your profile picture.
I sent you something. I have some fun facts. I just sent you an image that I want you to share. You don't have to share the audio, although I'll tell you about the audio. I'll tell you what happens in... This was a scene that I animated with... This was the original... This was actually straight out of the original script. And I had all... And I had a... This was like a test of like the original background style and even like the original animation style that I was going for before I kind of altered it. So,
right.
yeah.
I'll let this play then.
If it'll, yeah. So while it's playing, yeah, so this was the original version.
Where to find a job?
Yes, and where to eat this kebab?
Just eat it now.
But I don't want to eat it in the slums.
Look, Map, I need your help here, buddy. Where can I find a job so I can move back into my house and sit on my couch while eating nachos? Come on, you're a map, for God's sake.
Oh, crap. You should probably mute this part.
Well...
Okay, so, okay. Because it plays copyrighted music.
Yeah, no, I'm just about to do that now.
Yeah, so he's basically going... He sings the map song. Okay, but do you recognize that voice?
Was that not me like Whipdo or something?
Yeah, well, if anyone who's watching the stream knows who that voice is, yes, they were the voice of Map originally, but I replaced them with Whipdo. Yeah, you know this guy, Lego. Anyway, I have some more footage of episode 2 that I could share. But before I share it, any thoughts on that?
I'm just gonna stop screen sharing for first.
That was a cutscene. But that was a cutscene before I completely rewrote it.
Yeah.
In the episode. So and even now I still think that the version that ended up being in the final episode was way better than what what you just saw there. That was like, oh god, that was so long ago.
I mean,
anyway,
you said yourself that like obviously like Spade was like a fucking shitty person in the episode, but like obviously if Das was in it, then yeah, it would have made him more of a fucking shitty person because obviously he's not even caring about what the fuck's happening. He's just like,
well, the whole idea,
fucking couch.
Yeah, I really think that like because the original idea was to make Spade a very silly person, right? Well, sorry, I wanted the tone of Bond Objects to be very silly, but I ended up wanting it to be more serious. But I had these it made the moments with Spade and Bucket so much worse. And because I changed the tone of the episode while I was making it, which is a big no-no. You should, once you have your boards done, once you have your script done, once you have your animatic done, that is the story that you are telling. And that's the story you are animating. If there are anything that you need to do to make it better, do it. But never try and fundamentally change your story halfway through, because usually that ends up really messing up stuff.
I mean, like one of the things I was just going to say is like fundamentally, like you can write a serious show, but also try and write a bit of like some jokes into it and all that shit to make it a bit lighthearted and all that. But but it's basically trying to find that balance between it. And if what you're telling me is obviously true, and it is, like obviously like back in like fucking couple of years ago, you could not find that balance just yet.
Fair enough. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I don't really know. It's pretty bad.
But yeah, like we can get into the next question if you want, while you're trying to get your next animation or whatever to show up. Obviously, next would be episode 2, because obviously you did promote episode 2. Even having like the mayor showing up at some point, obviously that video is no longer, around. But
I deleted. Well, I didn't delete it. I just unlisted it because I want to actually show some footage of the mayor, if I could. in a bit.
Sure. Because like
Alright.
obviously you got
And yeah,
fuck, who is that? Movies Unleashed.
yeah, Movie Unleashes was the original voice.
Yeah.
Let's see. Does this? Okay, perfect. So here's some footage of the mayor who is voiced by Movie Unleashes. I approached Movie Unleashes and I was surprised that he said yes. So I'm really happy that he did say yes. But yeah, I don't know. This is the original footage.
All right, hold on.
This is from the original episode 2. So this is out of context, but I hope this gives you an idea of just like how chaotic the story really was.
Right, okay, hold on. I'm just fuck. So on screen now, yeah.
Yep, I'm
Yeah.
watching.
I could have been doing things like fixing our economy, lowering people's taxes, fixing poverty, welfare, yada, yada, yada. But instead, I've been spending all our taxpayers' money on something more worthwhile. Behold, the plot devices! I thought those were a legend. Quite the contrary. A few months ago, I was able to buy these sacred objects from a private collector. They've been told to have unspoken powers, in which can completely change the narrative of the universe. Is that the sacred MacGuffinite? It is, and I've grown really fond of this rock. And look, I even drew a face on it. MacGuffin, muffin. Get it? Point is, this is a priceless artifact that I cannot have stolen. Promise me, sir, that you will keep me and my MacGuffinite safe. Who knows what could be watching us?
Well, Mayor, let's just say the plot is about to thicken.
So yeah, that was a thing.
Like obviously you said yourself, that was from the original episode 2.
Yeah.
So that's just like
Hmm.
no. I'm going to just say this is a funny kind of thing, but this is like an exclusive. No, but obviously, yeah, I can see where you were going with this. Sort of. Obviously, as we were just talking about that, I would like to ask how exactly, like we were just talking about it before the stream obviously went on and stuff like obviously how was the direction of episode 2 before you canned it?
Yeah. So
like,
you want me to
you
tell?
able to, yeah,
you want me to talk about the story?
About that a little bit? Yeah.
Okay, so the whole idea of episode 2, from the top, from what I can remember, was to continue this narrative of episode 1, because I feel like it was unavoidable to kind of just completely ignore everything that happened in episode 1. Because for me, I wanted the series to be serialized, right?
Mm-hmm.
Series serialized, haha. But really, I think it because I think I did intend it to be like truly episodic, but I think that I couldn't really avoid being episodic. So for one, but I did have to take some liberties. Like for one, I completely retconned the fact that Spade is tiny in the at the end of episode 1, which I think. But other than that, okay. So the idea was it takes place a few months after episode 1. Spade and Bucket are in a state. Their relationship is just broken. They're in a complete. They're kind of just in a state of hospitality. Bucket isn't talking to Spade, right? And Spade's doing what he can to like actually help, well, or at least trying to help, by showing, hey, I can do this. I have this shop. Sorry, not the shop. I got hired at this place, and I'm doing stuff, and I'm contributing to society. I am a good person now. Can we be normal? And of course, Bucket's like, no. And because I hate you. I hate you so much. I hate everything about you, right? She just very hostile. And you know, Spade's like, but I'm doing all these things for you. And it's like, because the truth is, Bucket's going through, while sure, Spade is doing all these things, he's doing all these things to benefit himself, opposed to Bucket, who is kind of, he's being a better person, but he's not being a better brother, because Bucket is suffering from people kind of just, for one, while Spade gets hired for a new job, Bucket gets fired from hers, and Bucket essentially is very just hostile, she's bitter, she's angry, she's really sad too, and she's in a state of very just, I wish, she's very, she's emo, she's very sad. And
emo.
yeah, she made a lo-fi EP, and I don't know, I think the whole idea was that to make Bucket is also the reason to her being in such a really sad state was that Bucket is it's basically suffering from prejudice because people call her armless, right? It's Spade stops it, but she still gets it from everyone. And that's kind of where the social commentary comes in. I was kind of wanting, and I think this was a really dumb thing to do, was to basically talk about prejudice and like being ableist. And that was something that I personally, I think should have stayed out of the story altogether.
Yeah.
Because in hindsight, it's a big topic that you have no idea what you're doing. You are this person, you are, as a creator, you have no idea what you're doing. You're not consulting anyone about this. And this is why I don't even want to share the episode, because to me, I'm personally embarrassed by that, I guess.
That's fair.
It's something to me that is that's really like over ambition. Like, dude, this is an object show.
You were trying to go political for a show that basically children were just going to be watching. Like,
exactly. Well, I wasn't trying to go political. It was trying to introduce social commentary that I feel like was undereducated and just not at a very basic, rudimentary assumption of things, if that makes any sense.
Like not being told in a good light or something like that?
Yeah, like just the fact that I made a mess out of like, who's the good guy here? Who's really the good guy? Because to explain what you saw, the Mayor Muffin, right? He's now the mayor of the city. After he gets elected, after Spade ravages the town. And the Mayor and Mr. Mayor Muffin, he essentially has these plot devices that he got from this collector, right? And Professor Rubber, she wants those devices. She wants the Czech Love's gun, and she wants the MacGuffinite, which is a MacGuffin. It's literally a MacGuffin.
Yeah.
I thought it was really clever. I'm not clever. Anyway, you have the MacGuffin, and essentially Spade, she really wants the MacGuffin because she wants to use it for vengeance because it's very powerful. And what she does is, this is a big spoiler, this was going to be like a big reveal, but Bucket is desperate to fit in. And what she does is she goes in a deal with Rubber to essentially, she gets arms. Bucket gains arms in episode 2. Bucket uses the multi-manipulator device 2.0, uses that on her. She basically gains arms, and she's really happy, and she's able to suddenly use them very well, and almost too well, as will happen later. But essentially what they do is, this is all in one episode, by the way. They basically infiltrate the mayor's office. They steal the MacGuffinite. The police come, and then they're like, "Stop! You gotta die! You gotta, in the name of the law!" And then they're like, they jump out the window and they're running away. Meanwhile, Spade having this, there was a big blob scene involving Spade and Bucket at the restaurant that happens all before this, and he's kind of living in the aftermath of it, and he's just kind of like, what do I do? What do I do? What have I done? That kind of thing. And then he has a talk with her boss, which is Taco, about, hey, you should try and be a good brother for once. You should try and help your sister. You should actually try and she's dealing with a lot of things that you aren't dealing with, and you should be there to support her, right? Just try, which I think even now, I think it was good, but I think the execution could have been way better on how to deliver that kind of idea. But Spade kind of ignores this, and I believe in the story. And what ends up happening is that after Bucket, and this is getting rough because I didn't actually animate this section of the story, but Bucket and Professor Rubber, that after successfully stealing the MacGuffinite and getting away with it, Bucket's essentially, she's kind of, the story gets a bit blurry, but essentially what happens is Bucket gets very angry at herself, and she kind of transforms in a sense, the same way the multi-manipulated device 2.0 transformed Spade into like this massive Spadezilla, right? This massive kind of, you know, in episode 1 where like Spade, after getting zapped, he turns into a massive monster, right?
Yeah.
There was like this whole logic that I had with the multi-molecule manipulated device, where essentially it works. The effects of it work by simply it exaggerates, or kind of it basically exaggerates the negative traits and emotions in your brain, in your mind, and visually represents it. So Bucket essentially turns Super Saiyan, literally, and she kind of becomes this mindless force with these arms, and she's shooting like fire out of her, and there's like this big fight scene I animated, and it's really it's something. All right, I spent way too much time on it. And then what ends up happening is that Spade comes in, and in this really dark scene, Bucket like but Spade's like, what are you doing? And then Bucket, she kind of like immediately like teleports to Spade and like pins him onto a tree, and then Spade is literally like being choked to death by Bucket. It's really dark. And what ends up happening is that Spade, we are almost indicated that Spade dies, but then Spade kind of transforms into his Godzilla form, and then the two of them have a big fight. And I think what ends up happening is that they use the Chekhov's gun map. Professor Rubber and the mayor uses the Chekhov's gun on the two, and then we have like kind of a scene where kind of in this mind space where Spade and Bucket kind of reconcile their differences, recognize their flaws, and try and promise that they're going to be both better to each other from now on. And that's kind of where the episode sort of ends, or does it? Because at the very, very end of the episode, we see that several months later, we're at the trial. And there's a trial where the mayor, like Bucket, Map, Spade, and Professor Rubber, they're all on trial for a bunch of different crimes. They're all being charged at once and being sentenced at once. And you know, this is kind of the scene. This is a very important scene because Spade essentially, Professor Rubber, not Professor Rubber, the mayor, right, comes in out of nowhere, and he basically says all this ableist stuff to Bucket, and Spade, he's not having that. So he goes in and he punches the mayor or kicks him in the balls, you know, something like that.
Yeah,
and
because objects have decks, apparently.
Yes. Well, no, kicks. Yeah, I guess so. Basically, it was going to be like a kind of a literal parallel to episode 1, where the mayor literally gets what he deserves. Basically, gets what Spade got in episode 1 by Bucket, right? But it's Spade doing it this time. So in a sense, you know, even though Spade basically, and the episode kind of ends essentially with Spade kind of being like charged for contempt of court, I guess. And I had this really nice ending shot where you see Bucket and you see Spade. You see Spade being hoisted away by these guards, and then he turns to see Bucket, and then Bucket, she's like smiling, and then Spade smiles back, and then that's the end of the episode. I don't know. It's a lot, but I basically hopefully gave you an explanation of the entire episode 2 from start to finish.
I mean,
and I would love to show some footage.
I mean, it's
of what
up
I
to-
did.
It's up to you if you want to show the footage or not. But like,
I don't
that's
know.
I was honestly not expecting to get a full detailed like bit by bit of what the fuck was going to happen for this episode. So thanks for
Yeah.
telling us.
Well, I mean, I'm sorry that I it's a lot to get off my chest. I guess, but let me show you some scenes that I am willing to share.
Sure.
I'm gonna share this one to you now, and you can
might-
play this
you
if
might-
you want.
I'll play it in a second, but you mind just answering this probably like the last question for modern objects before we move
Sure.
on to like other shit.
Sure.
Like the last question was obviously because now obviously episode 2 like that's been scrapped and it seems like obviously you put modern objects in the new the 2019 new version that you uploaded like a couple of months ago, like saying like lol we died and stuff like that, saying
Yeah.
like, you know, it's not coming out and all that shit. Like obviously do you still think that modern objects is still fine with it being only one episode, or do you think it could
I
have been
think
something better?
Modern Objects is fine as episode 1. However, I would love to make a full reboot 12 episode season of where I feel like the elements and ideas that I had for the series are fully realized. I just wish that I didn't try to cram all these ideas into one thing, and I tried to span them out, because for me, making Modern Objects was an experience that taught me a lot about how to make a series, and it taught me a lot about just in general some genuinely good tips on how to structure your show, how to write stuff, how to the do's and definitely the don'ts of what you don't do when you're creating a series. And I kind of learned that the hard way, which I don't know. I think episode 1 is pretty bad, but I'm still very proud of it. I'm still very proud of what it represents. It's definitely a milestone. And I think I will say this, I'm working on something, but I can't say what it is, because honestly, it's way too early in development to like, you know, I'm working on a lot of things at once right now, because I'm kind of that sort of guy. I'm working on my university, and I'm working on my little meme animations, and I don't know. To me, Modern Objects is just it's a passion project now for me, but I wouldn't particularly say that it's going to be something that without an actual like a Patreon or without like a proper funding will I ever be able to do. Because if I were to make a series of Modern Objects, I want it to be my job. You know, I want to make Modern Objects as a living, but I can't really do that at this moment in time.
Obviously, this isn't you just confirming like, oh, I'm going to open up a Patreon if you want my series to come back, haha, paid money. But like, obviously, like you're just saying like you'd wish to do this again. Like obviously, like no matter what, Modern Objects from like the first episode is still good no matter where it stands. Like obviously, hearing from episode 2, it still would have been great, but it would have not have been like as great as obviously as like episode 1 because it had a few problems. But like knowing that, like obviously you put so much passion into this, and that you can see, you can smell the absolute like content, like not continuity, what's the word? Congeniality. I think that's what it is. I don't know. I'm probably not using the right word, but like you can see how how passionate you are for this project, and it's really nice to see it. Like obviously, like, a lot of people are making videos, and it's like, oh, we're doing this for like the views or the money or stuff like that. You're doing this because you want to do this. You want to like have this as like your not as your life thing, but like you want to have your own story to tell, and that's what I appreciate you as a creator for.
Yeah, my only problem is I can't seem to. I'm having a really tough time coming up with any ideas for any other series outside of like object stuff. So for me, I really want to try and see if I could try. If I got the opportunity to make a show in general, I definitely would like to take the idea of the concept of like the structure that I already had of modern objects and try to really adapt it into a different world, because I really think that you could change things about modern objects to which it could actually work, like the concepts. Because really, to be honest, like modern objects is just like a generic show with objects. You know, I feel like that's what the only thing that makes it special is that to me it's an object show that is not an object show or the conventional object show. And I feel like that in the future I do want to come up with something that's more a bit, I think modern objects taught me a lot about how to structure a story, and now I really want to see if I can try and make something that outside of the community that has a different sort of
approach.
That I don't know. I definitely want to see if I can try and make something more comprehensive and maybe have the serious elements and ideas that I had basically pondered for the past year into something that could have been more worthwhile. Like I don't know. One of my favorite series right now is Infinity Train, right? And I really like Infinity Train for its incredible writing and also its prevention of cliches, and just the fact that like how did all the writers just manage to pull off such an incredible narrative. But I digress. You know,
I really want Book 5 to be a movie. I'm just saying. And
I hope Book 5's a movie.
I really want Amelia's story now at this point.
I mean, I hope there is a movie. I hope there is a Book 5 movie. I think that, but unfortunately, it seems as if Infinity Train isn't going to be coming back anytime soon. And if it does, like if the whole like, I know this is completely off the thing, but if Infinity Train does come back, right now they're like, okay, we've seen all the demand, we should bring Infinity Train back, but now they have to like get all the team back, all the crew back that were from the original series and get new people in as well. So I definitely don't think we're going to see a Book 5 movie at least for a good like 2-3 years.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, honestly, if we're going to get a movie, I honestly feel like it would be the same kind of length of, like, how the Gumball movie would be. Like, because obviously we're getting the Gumball movie now. Like, obviously it'll be, like, a couple of years before we get it. And I don't mind waiting that long because at least we know that we're obviously going to get another one. But
yeah,
I just honestly just wish for, like, one more, like, book just to at least finish off the story that they were telling.
That series, though,
so much. There's so much being left in the cliffhanger, and what ruined my enjoyment for Book 4 was because I knew it was going to be the final season. So
yeah, I haven't given it all. I actually haven't watched season 4 yet, just because I don't want to. At this point, I really don't want to watch it.
Right. Okay.
To kind of save myself.
So I'm going to bite the fucking bullet and shut the fuck up then, because I was about to say a spoiler from that and be like, oh fuck.
Good. All right, let's move on.
Alrighty, well, with that being said, I'll play this clip and then we're going to go on with your questions. So if you guys are wanting to put in some questions for Rick, please put them in now. With that being said, we're going to play the clip now.
Let's go, the baby.
Now, how am I going to achieve this? Wait, is that... Sup?
Ah! It's you!
Hey, calm down. What's wrong? Why are you accessing water and sodium chloride?
I got fired for having no arms.
Tough break.
Yeah, and weren't you gonna flee away to Russia?
Well, I had a change in plans. Look, Bucket, I understand what you're going through. Shunned from society for being different. But if you help me with something, I can help you.
You mean you can give me...
Limbs? Absolutely.
How can I trust you? You are the same nut who...
Yeah, I know. Bucket, you're a lot more intelligent than you think. The whole city would have been destroyed if it weren't for your thinking. The world needs people like you. And me. Now, what do you say?
Okay.
That's the face of someone you should not be fucking trusting.
Yeah, I know. But I liked the idea of Professor Rubber being this character you kind of don't want to trust, but there's something about her that you just don't know. There's a genuine side to her, but there's also a very nefarious side, because it's clear that she's using Bucket to get what she wants. But there's also kind of a plot hole here, because it's like, why does Rubber need Bucket though? What does Bucket have that would help her? And I think, and that was something that was kind of a plot hole that I really should have thought of more. I guess I just couldn't come up with a good idea and just went on with the story anyway, which isn't a good thing. I think you should have given. There should have been reason. Anyway, let's move on with the next part.
Alrighty, well, so we're going to go to the viewer questions now. So
Right.
try to keep them short and sweet a little bit. Like, obviously, if you want to talk in more detail about some of these, you can, but like, obviously, like, try and keep them short and detailed, so that way we're not
Alright.
spending
I can
too
share
much on
more
one
stuff
question.
while we wait
yeah.
for the questions.
But yeah, the first question we've got here is from Yin Yang YT. Did you voice in any other object shows? If so, which one?
Did I voice in any other shows? If so, which one? Yeah, I've voiced in I've voiced in a couple. My first object show role was a newspaper and Object Invasion.
Yeah.
I basically shoehorned my in. I basically, because Fusion was so lenient on the show at the time, I basically shoehorned in this character newspaper into the script. Terrible idea. Terrible idea. Just so cringe. I hate that so much. I hate 2017 me so much. I hate 2016 me so much, because it's just, it radiates so much cringe energy, you know. Big cringe energy for me. But anyway, what else have I voiced in? I don't think I've voiced in a lot, actually. Reality is, I don't have a lot of voice roles. I definitely voiced newspaper, but holy crap, I actually don't think I voiced in anything other than like maybe some minor roles for Fusion. I may have voiced in like one thing that never happened, an opera show that never happened. I think the reality is that I'm much more of the person who is an animator rather than, or an artist, opposed to like someone who's a good voice actor. I can definitely voice act, but I'm nowhere like, I could do Spade's voice. What's up, dudes? But you know, I can do that. That was less of Spade and more like a cringe surfer. But other than that, you know, I don't really voice a lot of characters. I just kind of do a lot of the voices myself. I just like doing a lot of things by myself, although that's not been a good idea as of recent. Okay, whatever.
By the way, I was going to just say that your voice legit just sounded like, you know, like Jeff from like fucking Total Drama. It just sounded like Jeff if he just smoked a lot of fucking pot.
Oh boy, that sounds fun. All right.
This isn't a question, but I just want to put this on screen because why the fuck not? But Lego just said Lego gets a gun. Well, Spade.
Yeah, Spade gets a gun. Yeah.
We love that.
We love that. Bang bang.
Right. DX has asked, Rick, what was your favorite part of making modern objects?
My favorite part, I think my favorite part was the, let's see. I think my favorite part really of making modern objects was not the making it. I think my favorite part was finishing it. Usually I make stuff, I really enjoy the making process of my animations, but I think the real joy comes in when you've gone through all this pain and then you finally just have something come together in your timeline. You're watching it and it's actually done. And while there's this massive sense of fear, it's like, oh, what are people going to think of it? Is it going to suck? People going to hate this? You know, there's also the fact of, oh my God, I'm nearly done. I spent so long on this, you know? And then when I premiered episode 1, I like using the new YouTube Premiere function. It was really like just seeing people talk and like the view count go up to like 90 viewers. It was such a heartwarming moment for me. I was so happy to see just how so many people came together to watch this animation that I had made. That I spent so much time. I spent a good year on, 6 months of animating. And I don't know, it was really a great time. It really, I felt like all that work had paid off, you know, making a big thing. And, you know, nowadays there are creators who are able to make stuff who have just done, there are so many great people in the community, man. There are so many talented people who have made a lot more videos than I have, made a lot more object shows than I have. But the fact that I've only made one episode and that it's still being talked about nowadays, I guess, in casual conversation in the object show community is pretty dope. I mean, mission accomplished.
I mean, I'm going to just go to stroke your ego a little bit here, but like, even though like obviously like Modern Objects is like the only thing you've put out and stuff like that, you've also helped animate for TPOT and like BFB and stuff like that. It's very noticeable as well. So it's so that must be a crowning achievement as well.
Well,
so.
yeah, so to give you an idea, I finally stopped working on episode 2 in early 2020 because at that point I was so burnt out and I was so tired of this mentality that I had that I put everything on hold, and I didn't have the mindset of canceling it until about now. Now it's definitely done. I'm never going back to it. But I could definitely say that episode 2 was I was in a place of stagnation. I think I began making different kind of videos at the time. I think I started, if I were to see what I was uploading at the time, because this was about a year ago from now. So yeah, all right. I was making some. Oh yeah, I finished my album thing, and I finished my side project, which was the Spade album, the joke album that I had made, and yeah, I wasn't really doing much other than making some early BFB stuff, like a fun little BFB animation that I did of lasagna, I guess. But then a miracle came in out of nowhere, and it was auditions for Jack and Jellyfy, auditions to work on BFB. And to me, that was like, oh my God, I could actually work for BFDI, but oh my God, there is so much competition. There are so many talented animators. So what I ended up doing, right, I picked the least popular. I basically, oh my God, I really enjoyed telling the story. Creating my BFB audition, essentially me, Potato and ST Animator, who are all animators on BFB, by the way, we basically all came together and we were like, oh my God, we could. And we especially spent the whole weekend, right? Mice Potato, he took like a good week or so to finish this scene. But we essentially spent this massive period of the three of us kind of just animate, like in a call, and we were all animating our auditions separately from one another. I think ST finished his first, or maybe I did first. I don't remember. But I basically frantically got mine done in a weekend. And I think there's a lot of problems with my audition in hindsight, but it did very well. When I uploaded it, it got a lot of good reception, which I'm really happy about. Mainly people, I don't know what people think about my audition now, but I am proud of just like how I was able to combine tweens, and mainly my frame by frame was pretty good, decent, I guess. I don't know. I like my, I don't know. I'm going on a rant. Tangent. Point is, yeah, we had, it was really cool to create the BFB scene, like to create the audition. And then we had to wait this really grueling process of like waiting for our scenes to be, the audition process to complete. And then of course, COVID hit and screwed everything up for everyone. So what ended up happening was that BFB was kind of a godsend for me and for me at the time, because I was able to basically work on the show and work while I was in lockdown and make money from it, you know?
Yeah.
And that was a godsend for me as an animator, just being able to work on this persistent, to work on a project and gain money from it. And I really invested a lot into it. And then later on, I got hired for TPOT and I did my stuff for TPOT. I was, and I worked on that for a little while, and then we basically did BFB, and then for a good while, and then while BFB was approaching completion, the season episode 1 of TPOT was nearing completion, and I think last minute they needed. I don't know if I should tell this. Basically, all I can really say is that I was an assistant animator for the TPOT intro, and that was really fun. I had a lot of fun being an assistant animator. A lot of the amazingness of that intro primarily goes to Cold Bones, but the fact that if you told me like 2 years ago from now that I would be an animator for BFDI and I would have contributed to the TPOT intro, you would have thought I would have told you you were insane, Sorry for that rant. You get the idea.
That's fine. Just give a second. I mean, just give me a second. I'm just going to score these questions off my sheet.
Yeah.
No, you legit just answered like a bunch of motherfucking questions in all of one
Great.
go there. So,
Well, there you go.
You're being on the fucking ball. All right. Aidan, next question is from Squidhues. Is how did you go about making ideas for a non-competition show?
How did I go about making ideas? Well, I guess really it was just a matter of Modern Objects was originally the Object Games, and the Object Games was a typical object show. The idea of Spade and Bucket came from the Object Games as contestants for the show, as siblings, and I basically took those two characters because I liked them the most, and I adapted them to a different format. I tried a couple things. I wanted to go for like the name Modern Objects literally comes from it's technically a pun when you think it's not really a pun, but it's like you've heard this. There was a sitcom I used to watch with my family all the time called Modern Family, right? And that's where the name comes from. Modern Objects, Modern Family, right? And the idea was to kind of adapt the idea of like a sitcom, a mockumentary into a format. And originally Modern Objects was intended to be a mockumentary, but I then changed it to be more in tune of like a animated series / sitcom, So yeah, really the idea is for making a non-competition show, really what it comes down to is just look at other things in the world that are going on that aren't competitions, right? And just adapt that to an object world, I guess. That's basically what I did. I took elements of Ed's world. I took elements of sitcoms. I took elements of stuff from other object shows. I took web animation influence, I took Cartoon Network shows. I took Teletoon shows and BFD and Total Drama elements, I guess, and I kind of concocted all of them into one thing, I guess. So there you go. That's basically it. That's how you make non-competition shows. I hope that gives you more than plenty of an answer. Yay.
Alrighty. I think that's pretty much all of the questions from the live chat for now.
Okay.
Do you have anything else you wanted to show, by the way? Obviously, you said.
I could show you some old. Well, you were going to ask for more, right? You were going to ask more questions that don't involve modern objects. I would love to talk about some non-modern object stuff.
Alrighty, cool. All right, we'll go into the next few questions. So obviously, how I'm going to ask you how long you've been part of the OSC for.
I've been a part of the OSC, I think, since 2016. I think it was really 2017 that I became really active, though. So I would say, so let's see, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 20. We're approaching the 5-year mark, but I've been on YouTube since 2014. So that's 14, 15. So 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. That's nearly 7 years on being on YouTube.
Yeah,
so not bad.
I'm legit the same exact time period with you because I've been on YouTube since like very, very late, like 2013. like I was like fucking what? Like I was 11 years old when I started making videos.
Oh yeah.
Fucking cringy videos, but videos nonetheless.
Mm.
And then obviously joined the OSC like late 2016 when my friend decided to tell me like, hey, there's this like community where it's like total drama but not total drama. It's like competition shows with objects. You gotta listen. And like a lot of
very
people are gonna
much.
say like obviously like their first ever object show was like BFDI. That was
Yeah.
not for myself. I was my first one was II.
Yeah.
And like when I saw BFDI, I was like, that's bitch be copying an anime insanity. And then when I found out that it was the other way around, I was like, well, fuck me, I guess.
Okay.
No, but like going off the tangent. Sorry.
Yeah.
So a question will obviously be is like, what's the biggest differences between you joining the community back in 2016 or 2017, whichever one you wanted to say, to the current state of the community right now? Like, what do you think is like a key difference?
The key difference from the old community from the new community. I guess you could say. I think really what's happened with the OSC of recent is that really there's been a new wave of creators. There's a new wave of young people. There's a lot of older creators still in the community who are the age of like the current. I guess you could say that you could define the eras of the object share community literally from the era like BFDI itself, because what happens with BFDI is that whatever BFDI does, eventually the community kind of drags along, kind of follows, because you start up because people didn't the animation, the BFB style of animation didn't catch on, which is now kind of the predominant animation style of a lot of object shows nowadays, because because of BFB, right? The art people were animating object shows using only assets for the longest time until BFB came around and changed that. So that's just one instance. So I guess you could, even now, BFB having it split, the community is now falling in its feet with like Enam Insanity having its own split from season 2 and season 3. Now we could go into the details of why I think that's not the greatest thing, but I don't really care. Point is, there's just a lot to the community that I think when we compare it from the oldest to the youngest, it's definitely a matter of there's definitely going to be like different tastes of humor, of style, and of because while there are a lot of object shows that are the same, there are definitely a lot of object shows that do have diverse kind of, some people might not be a fan of like like the older object asset styles, where it's like the humor can be a bit stilted and the animation pretty old. But a lot of the appeal of those older series is definitely the fact that like there's a lot of great humor, there's a lot of great charm, basically charm, especially charm, and a nostalgic factor that all kind of culminates into like, those kinds of things, I guess. I don't know. Point is, I guess really there isn't much of a difference other than that there is a because this community is now more than a decade old, there is definitely going to be like generational, there are many different tastes. Universally though, I think most people are, pretty much the same, I guess, if you want to come down to it. I don't know. That's my answer. Very long, very overly dumb, but you get the idea.
Yeah, it's fair. Don't worry.
Yeah, I talk a lot when. Sorry if these answers are too long.
No, don't worry. It just means that obviously you've got a lot to talk about, and honestly, I don't mind long answers. I think what I would have minded though is like obviously like if you just gave like very, like say if you just gave like 1 sentence answers and stuff like that, then I would have minded, because I would have been like, fuck, this is not helpful kind of thing. Like you're giving more detail to this to the point that it's very helpful to understand, if that makes any sense. Whereas
Yeah.
it's like if you just give one sentence answer, it was just like it's good, then
Yeah.
like you can't really
Yeah.
turn
Okay.
off with something like that.
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to because really you kind of have a point and then you kind of trail off and you try to like, because that's what I do. I trail off and I kind of try to. I have an idea of how to answer it, but I don't feel like I can answer it without explaining it first. So it's like, blah blah blah. You get the idea. All right. Next question.
Obviously, if you were to tell your past self about, like, obviously a couple of things that you've learned from your current self, what would you tell them?
I would tell my past self, oh boy, I tell them, hey, learn how to take a joke. That's what I would say. Learn how to take a goddamn joke. Learn how to talk to people properly. Learn how to animate better. You will not become a better animator if you do not become a better person.
That's fair.
I guess. I don't know.
That sounds about right.
All right. What's next?
All right. Next question is. Oh, we've actually down to the last few, so that's good.
All right.
So next question is just like how do you see for the future of yourself for the OSC? Like obviously it could be like what you think you're going to be doing like next couple of years. Like obviously like you're still animating for like TPOT and all that shit. Hopefully.
Yeah. I don't think I'm going to be okay. I could say what I feel like at the moment. I don't feel like I'm going to be returning to BFDI season 6, especially if they're going to return to assets. I definitely don't feel like I fit the asset style of animating, which I hope that. But I'm definitely going to continue working on TPOT because I definitely have a lot of fun with TPOT, and that it's just such a high quality show. Well, in my opinion, it's a high quality show. You don't need to like TPOT if you don't like TPOT, that's fine. But I'm really appreciative because to me TPOT is it's kind of a new beast. It's kind of a force where it's like all the best members of the community kind of all have come together to create this very big project. And I hope that there's more to come, but I can't really say much about episode 2, TPOT 2 or whatever, but you get the idea. I'm excited to see where the community goes. I think where I want to be in a couple years in the OSC, for me, I kind of want to, I'm never going to leave it, right? Like leave it in the sense of like, someone comes in and impulsively says, I'm going to leave the OSC for good. And then, they leave for a couple of weeks and then they come back because that's what always happens.
That's happened to me about like 20 times with people. Where they're like, where it's basically like, whoa, it's me. Like, I'm going to.
I've technically fallen into that trap myself. So basically, all I'm saying is just object show. Like, just the truth is, I'm never going to give up the idea of like, I'm an object show guy. I definitely want to try and diverse myself. So that's why I've been making more videos that are of non-object show type, I guess. I've been trying to make more content that is geared towards a modern audience, but still kind of has elements of the object shows that people really like. For instance, my recent animations have been very akin to like, people say this looks like BFB, and some other people say this looks like Aston movie, and that's. I guess I like that it's kind of like a fusion between those two styles because it gives me kind of it appeals to both those camps. And I have an audience now where it's like I can still keep my object show fan base and I can still keep my my regular fan base, like a non-object show fan base, and grow a new fan audience, I guess. I don't know. It's hard. YouTube's really hard. Is all I'm saying. It's hard to make.
It's just
especially when you're juggling procrastination and university. It can be difficult to keep focused.
I mean,
have priorities.
one of the things I was going to say, I was actually going to say to you was like, obviously, mind if we just backtrack for a second, go back to BFB for a second.
Sure.
You were saying that if season 6 was going to go back to assets, what does that mean exactly?
Yeah. Well, if they do go back to assets, basically all I know is that whatever happens, like, look, I mean, okay, here's the thing. I know that Michael and Kerry have expressed the idea of like potentially going back to like changing their style of the show, right? And an instance could be assets. Now that I'm not confirming or denying anything because I literally do not know.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I feel like that it could be a possibility. And even if it wasn't, right, you know, to me, I don't really feel much of an interest to return to do season 6 because to me, BFB gave me enough of a time and experience to which I feel like I can just, you know, and I at this point, I kind of want to step back. I am excited to see where season 6 goes though, whenever it comes out, whenever it happens. I don't know. Because we, as an animator on the show, I you know, we just did the job that we were given, and you know, I think we did a really good job. There's like 50 people, and there was like 50 people on the team, just like these animators, artists, background artists, audio designers, especially audio editors. Shout out Leo TD. But other than that, yeah, just a lot of incredible, talented people. And I don't know, at the end of the day, I'm just kind of happy that it's over now and that I was able to be a part of that. I was able to be a part of the season finale BFB, and I was able to be a part of the season premiere of TPOT.
I mean, what I was going to say as well is like, if we were to be like, if I were to be completely honest, like if they were to go back to like the style of like BFDI and BFDIA,
yeah. If they were, I don't know.
I mean, if
I literally do not know.
In my opinion, I just don't feel like they should be anymore. Like I feel like if they were going to do this, they would have done it already. I just feel like they've found their style.
It's a default. You know, you're right. I mean, when BFB 1 came out, I hated the art style, and even now it hasn't really aged well. But definitely the art style of BFB has developed considerably since then, because I don't think people know this enough. But BFB 1, when it premiered, I think the art style polarized a lot of people because it was so different and it was so rough. But I definitely think as the series progressed, it got way better. The animation got way better, and it really found its footing. Although at the cost of a lot of time being spent on meticulously progressing the style to a point where it kind of became too good for its own good, you know?
I mean,
that's when the split happened.
I mean, I would say this as well. Like, if they were to go back, I feel like they would have done it already. If they were going to decide to like whether or not to change their art style, though, I would just recommend not. Because I just feel like
I agree.
Like,
personally,
like they found their style. I feel like it's. I don't think it would be too late for them to go back to it, but I just feel like it would be not drastic change, but it's like an unnecessary one.
I think we're devolving in the community opposed to evolving, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
I think that BFDI season 6 should be the opportunity to try something different. The same way that BFB tried something different. But that's just my take.
I mean, I honestly don't mind like them showing off like some of the older, like going back to like the BFDI animations, like some of their older videos, like not older videos, but like separate videos that aren't, you know, like BFD and stuff like that. Like I don't mind having that, but like changing the style of a show entirely during the time where you're trying to find your footing still, like I just feel like that is not the best idea, especially where if you were to change your style, not only would you be like firing a lot of your animators, because like there's like obviously I don't think it would be a big change for some of them, but
it wouldn't. Like, I think a lot of people would adapt.
I just don't feel like a lot of people would adapt to it as quick as they hope for.
Well,
then,
either way, if it was
then-
something that was exciting, I definitely might want to join season 6. But right now, I'm kind of, because making a whole season of BFB, right? Even if it was just 14 episodes, we made hours of footage of animation in while I contributed only a tiny bit to it, we did end up contributing a lot of animation in the span of a year, and it really burnt out. It really burns you out after a while, because coming out with these big episodes, especially, I think I wasn't a part of the episode, but the court episode, I think it was BFB 23. That episode was made. The animation was like 25 minutes long. Like the episode's 25 minutes long, and the animators only was given like less than 2 weeks to do like the whole thing. And that's pretty nuts, I think. Even if some of the animation, you could say some of the animation is a bit rough at times, which it definitely is, because we had to kind of adapt to a lot of like time-saving techniques, kind of minimizing movement and, only really focusing on stuff like, this is some animation for episode 2.
Yeah. I was just gonna shut off
amplifying.
while you were talking, sorry.
Yeah, basically amplifying the animate the stuff. I guess you get. I don't know. Point is, episode 2 had a lot of stuff in it.
Yeah.
BFB had a lot of stuff that needed to save time. I guess, I don't know. My point got messed up, but whatever. You get the idea.
Yeah, I get what you mean. But I will say fuck you for BFB, because I will say that right now. So for one of the no. Okay, I have a very big bias because of the finale, because I legit had an episode of this podcast going on the same day. And I didn't know when the episode was coming out, because like there was no announcements of like how long it was going to be. So I was like, okay, if I do my episode fast and then just finish it off, then I'll still have the viewers. I'll still have some people coming on, and then I wouldn't be in the way of BFB.
Oof.
So then what happened was, the minute I went live,
the episode went live.
Dropped.
Oof.
The finale dropped, and everybody was gone in the fucking instance. Like, even 2 of my goddamn like interviewees decided to drop out just to go watch it, and I was
That's
like,
gotta be the worst.
The fuck?
Ouch. That's poor timing right there. It came out earlier than expected, I think.
No, because like I was gonna say, like we were gonna do an hour and a half for that episode of my podcast, and then like finish that way we could go and do BFB and all that shit. But like the first hour was taken up by BFB, so fuck you to Jack and Jelly for that one. But
don't say that. That's mean.
No, I still love them, but like.
Yeah, I know, but it's still mean to say that.
No, but like at the same time though, like, I still appreciate them. But like but like it was like the first hour got took up from that, and then the minute that ended, like we basically spent an hour just to watch that, and the minute that ended, like we didn't even get any much viewers left. We legit only got like about 3 by that point. And like, let me remind you, just like obviously it's not as like bad as like what ours is like right now, which is like very early in the morning. Like there's not hardly any people. Like this was around where like a lot of Americans were all fucking awake, like doing all their shit. They were coming back to school and all that shit. So, like by that point, by the point of BFB, it was 3 of my interviewees disappeared. I only had 2 left. One of them was playing Crash Bandicoot. This is the same one, by the way. One of them was playing Crash Bandicoot, and then like the minute we started, and then another person that I knew, which is a close friend of mine, aka Artificial Deluxe, which by the way, AD, if you're watching this, fuck you as well, decided to go live and then take up my viewers again, and I was like, fuck me, I guess. That was like not my. It was not my day.
Oh man. Oh well.
It happened. It's sorry,
Yeah,
but
it
like
happened.
I'm still gonna be I will still be bit mad with BFB for that one just because it didn't
Oh
make
well.
up.
Hey.
Like I even had it as a joke. So like, see on the episode 9 thumbnail, it's like obviously I've got 3 of the guests faded because of they dropped out and just decided to go and do other shit. And then I've also got like the BFB logo like faded into the background, like faded in, just so that way it's looming over us because just to give it the fact that it took over.
It did. It literally did take over the stream. Man. Oh well. Hey, that's talk about inconvenience and timing, huh? Bad timing. Better luck next time.
I mean,
Alright.
that's the thing. If it happens again, then I'm going to be prepared for it next time. With that being said, we've got 2 questions left, and then again, if there's any of your questions, send them in now because we're just going to get 0 questions and then end off. But yeah, Rick, for this next question, I'm just going to ask you for basically some advice for people who want to make their own object show. Like what would you say to them if they want to make a show? It doesn't even need to be an object show. Like what would you say to someone who basically would ask like about making a new
how to
show?
make an object show? Well, to me, to make an wait. So, are you asking me how to make an object show?
Yeah, pretty much. Like what would be your advice?
Well, firstly, what I would definitely say is, never start making an object show immediately. What you should do is start brainstorming ideas, essentially, and come up with it. Just come up with a concept, but don't jump into production immediately. Start making tests. Start like come up with a character and an animated test with that character. Just see how they feel as an animation. Animate something that's fun, or like write something that's fun. Just basically, for me, when creating modern objects, I developed the concepts through making little videos, and then as those videos developed, my style and my idea of how I wanted those episodes to play out essentially built the fundamentals of how the series works and functions. So I think really, if you want to create your object show, start small and then work up. Do not try to immediately jump into something without properly properly going into it, I guess. Like, just build yourself up. Just build yourself from the bottom, make yourself to the top, I guess. And it's hard. Not everyone can do it, but if you can do it, then you'd be proud of that. Be proud that you did it and you won, I guess. I don't know.
No, it's fair. It's fair. Like, obviously, like, it's the best advice you can give. It's just basically, like, obviously, it's better off taking time to brainstorm ideas, obviously, to make sure you know what you're wanting to do instead of just going in without knowing anything.
Yeah, pretty much.
Alrighty, our last question that I've got written here for you, which, by the way, again, thanks for sticking around for so long. So, last question for you would be like, what would be your next step after? Like, currently, you've said yourself that you're going to university for. What are you studying for university?
I think I'm doing a bachelor for animation, I think.
What are you planning to do with for your future once you've?
Well, we'll see. I think for me right now, the plan is just to get my degree and see where I can go from there creatively as an artist. I really want to try and get myself into a studio. Maybe I might want to move countries. Who knows? I have no idea. At this point, my future is unwritten, and I guess I'm looking forward to the turnout.
Alrighty.
Well, I'm either looking forward to it or I'm dreading it. One of the two. Take your pick.
Take a pick, right? Okay, thank you. Alrighty. With that being said, that's the last of my questions. Like I said, if there's any questions from you guys, start putting them in now. Otherwise, we'll be finishing up. But how have you been enjoying this?
Me? Have I enjoyed this? I definitely have enjoyed this. I've had a lot of fun. talking to you. Although I'm a bit fatigued now, my voice is a bit sore. But thank you so much for letting me be on here. I actually, honestly, I this went way better than I thought it would. So even though there might not be a lot of people, I definitely think there will be people who will listen back onto this. And I'm really excited to see what happens. I guess basically all I'm saying is I wish nothing but the best of luck to you and to just the show, like to your show, to your YouTube channel. Thank you for letting me come on here and just to rant for a good hour and a half.
I mean, do you mind like me just going off a bit of a tangent with you just for a second, because
Sure.
Because I will say this for first, that I've been wanting to have you on here since like since the fucking beginning, like just to give people some some backstory behind this. Chillin Like a Villain was meant to be like going on last year, funnily enough. So like the first ever guests were going to be like Rick, Jacob, Nev, and Jordan the One. Like we had like a group chat and all that ready, and just because of the fact that obviously like time happened and stuff like that, and like, you know, high school decided to finish up with me, and COVID decided to happen and all that shit, like, you know, COVID sucks.
Yeah, it sucks, man.
Like obviously we weren't able to do it, and like for a creator that I respect so much like yourself, like definitely so glad to have you on here. And it's actually great to actually speak to you, because it's like not only getting some wisdom off of yourself for this, but as well as like your for yourself to be able to open up about like obviously like episode 2 of Modern Objects, but as well as everything else about yourself. Like that has been very appreciative, and it gets to know you more of a person than just the person who makes like animations.
Yeah, thank you very much. That means a lot. It's very hard to I don't know. I think a big problem is that I'm kind of disconnected from my audience a lot. So having this kind of conversation was, I think, really beneficial. Well, having this interview and whatever, this podcast, I think it gave me a bit of insight on myself, but also insight on the perspective of like the stance in the community, and, you know, how I can, you know, move on, I guess. I don't know. Point is, thank you again for having me on. I really appreciate it.
All right.
And letting me talk. Yeah.
Actually, I do have one question just to ask you, just for funsies, just while we're waiting to see if there's any questions coming in chat. But like, has like other than one, is there any other like object shows that you've been noticing that you think that is actually really good? Because
I said one by Cheesy. Yeah. Another one I would probably, if I could list off, let's see. I shouldn't be doing this, but I'm going into. Let me just have a quick run through of like some object shows that I really here's the thing. I don't actually watch a lot of object shows. There's a lot of new ones that I barely watch because despite them being so, you know, being out there, I particularly am not the type of person who you know, who watches them religiously. Or religiously, really. I'm kind of, because I'm definitely an older person in the community. I'm definitely not in the know. I guess the shows that I can really note of that are really good, I think Paper Puppets Take Two has really taken off. Daily Object Show by Fusion is doing really well. And there's also the upcoming Animations thing that he's working on. So
I saw that sneak peek, and I swear to God, if it said I think it was TNM, and I swear to God, if the acronym is like the new manor or something like that, I'm gonna scream.
Well, I know what the acronym is, but I'm not gonna say what it is. But I've actually done animation for it, so I'm really excited for you to see it. Yeah,
I was gonna say, I'm when I saw like the sneak peek and like the object show community server, like I legitimately screamed because of the fact that I was like, oh my God, we're getting this back. We're getting something from Alan again, finally. Like,
Alan's it's been a while. I mean, Alan did a lot for BFB, so now, you know, it's really exciting, and hopefully it won't be too long. But I can't really say much. I just hope you're going to enjoy it. You'll enjoy the new that series. What else is there? I'm trying to think of anything else that I find of significance. Oh, Thanos by Ivan.
Yeah,
absolutely incredible. Yeah.
One of the things I was going to say is like my object show that I'm currently making was actually inspired by Object Manor in some way as well.
Awesome.
Like because
Object Manor was really the influence of like, I think it really was the truly first like episode like show that really like broke mold, I guess. Broke the ground.
Competition show.
Yeah, I guess so. If you really want to put it like that.
Show.
But yeah, overall, there's just so much object show content. There's literally thousands of videos of episodes of series. Some that I have never seen before. I'm just kind of glad mine sort of sticks out even the littlest bit throughout all this muck. Well, I wouldn't call it muck. I just call it. I probably would refer to it as like a lot of creators on the rise, and I do think that eventually there's going to be object shows that get super duper popular to a point where, like, you know, there's definitely going to be a whole, you know, when the old folks, eventually the old guard dies, the new generation will take over, you know, and so on and so forth.
This is gonna be like the dream thing. Is like have you heard about like the whole like it's like Dream and all that shit, and it's like people.
I mean, it was originally
like YouTubers like
Sky does Minecraft,
and Stabby and all that shit, and I'm looking at that and I'm like, oh my god, this is fucking true.
It really is like that. With the resurgence of Minecraft, there was a new generation of YouTubers, and I think the same thing will apply to this community, although we'll have to see how it turns out. I don't know, because there's still a lot of old people in this community who are still avidly making content and are doing really good job, doing a really good job on it. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. I'm just really glad that I made something
to add
to the community.
Like, have you seen like AIB, like Animated Inanimate Battle?
Wait, what is it called?
Animated Inanimate Battle.
Inanimate Battle. I've heard of Inanimate Battle, but Animated Inanimate Battle. I haven't seen this before, unfortunately.
But it's basically, I'm gonna just say this because the one thing that really puts a lot of people off is like the minute you say like, oh, it's a PowerPoint show, everybody's like put off immediately. But like this is a PowerPoint show that doesn't feel like a PowerPoint show because it's like
I'm already watching it because there's elements of the PowerPoint that like you can see that the characters are actually moving, which is interesting. I don't think like PowerPoint shows are like, or PowerPoint shows in this style are particularly a bad thing. I just think that they're a niche that, in my opinion, I'm not a bigger fan of. But that's just my opinion.
I would definitely recommend you checking out AIB because it actually is a really interesting show. And like another one that I would also recommend, not because like if it's not like very like well known and stuff like that or anything like that, but like it's Galactic Conquest made by your local Mooney.
All right.
She's like a creator like yourself who's basically trying to make an object show that's very passionate and stuff like that. I help with it to make the story and all that with coming up, but she's very passionate about this project and she really wants to get it off the ground. She's got like 3 episodes out with 4th one like nearly done. So if you've got time, check that out as well. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
Sure thing.
And with that being said, I don't think we are going to get any other questions from the live chat, so I guess that'll be it, and that'll be us here. So, with that being said, do you have anything you want to ask or to promote real quickly? Before?
Not really. All I really have to say is thanks, and I'm glad that I got to be on the show for a little bit. Appreciate it, and epic. Let's go the baby dab. Okay, goodbye.
I mean, like, I was going to say, like, you've got 10 seconds to say whatever you like before you get
All right,
back.
poopity scoop, whoopity doopity, episode, Mon Objects episode 59 billion coming soon, epic lol.
I was going to say that was perfectly. I'm going to say that was perfectly fucking cut. But with that being said, thank you so much, RickToons, for coming on to the podcast. You've been really amazing. For you guys as well, please go and subscribe to RickToons for more amazing like animated content. Whenever he decides to basically like upload. If you're interested for any more like episodes of this or just like any more content from me, consider subscribing because it would be really great to get some. Because we actually just hit like 700 subscribers just like last night, and I'm very like happy for that. So yeah, thank you guys so much for that. Trying to say because there was one other thing I was going to say. Shit. Fuck! It was an important one as well. Right. Tomorrow we're having we're going to have one more episode tomorrow, and then I'm going to go on a break. I've done 3 episodes this week. I feel like I deserve a bit of a break. So after tomorrow's episode, who I'll announce, yeah. I'm being told to add Rick back. Hold on. Yeah, what's up?
The imposter is sus.
No, we're not doing that joke. No. God's sake. Right. Okay, but in all seriousness, the episode tomorrow, it cannot. I think I said 8 o'clock tomorrow at BST. If it's not, it might be a few hours before or after. I'll let you guys know. But yeah, right. Forgot to say who it is tomorrow. Sorry. Thanks, Rick. So the person that's coming on tomorrow is none other than the creator of Brawl of the Objects, that is Anthony Kuss or Anko, which hopefully you guys are excited for. But yeah, thank you all for coming on. Thank you all for coming on and watching this. Thank you, Rick, for coming up and showing up for this. Hopefully hell is good for you. And yeah, I'll see you all later. Bye-bye.